Taking a look at your top international stories this evening. Pakistan authorities say that aid will reach victims. And also, US military begins first stage of a transfer of a huge airbase to Iraqi control. We will be taking a detailed look at this story on our special segment Around the World in 99 Seconds. Focusing on your top international story this evening, Pakistan has sought to reassure international donors that funds to help victims of its devastating flooding will not fall into extremists' hands.
Interior Minister of Pakistan, Rahman Malik, told the BBC the Taliban would not be allowed to take any advantage of the crisis to increase its support. The UN has said it has now raised nearly half of the $460 million it needs for initial relief efforts. Meanwhile, new flood warnings have been issued in some areas of Pakistan. The authorities say as many as 20 million people are affected by the floods. The UN says 6 million desperately need emergency aid, but most still have not received it. Tens of thousands of villagers remain underwater. There are growing health concerns for those surviving without proper shelter, food or clean drinking water 3 weeks after the country's worst natural disaster in modern times began. Malik said that he was satisfied with the government had coped with the initial response, but that it had been overwhelmed by the scale of the crisis. US Ambassador to Pakistan Ann Patterson also played down the fears, saying stories that extremist groups were the only organizations involved in relief work in some areas were greatly exaggerated. The UK's International Development Minister Andrew Mitchell, who has been visiting northwest Pakistan, said he felt the Pakistan relief teams were doing well in getting supplies to many of the victims in the face of great difficulties. US Senator John Kerry, the head of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, is also due in Pakistan to review relief efforts.
The US Air Force handed over the largest portion of Joint Base Walid military base in northern Baghdad to Iraq security forces on Monday as a part of a bilateral pact that also requires all US forces to leave Iraq by the end of 2011. The US military plans to reduce forces in Iraq to 50,000 troops by the end of the month, when they will formally move to a more advisory role supporting Iraq security forces. Residents in parts of Spain were cleaning up shops, homes and streets today after flash floods that killed 3 people and injured 2 more. Strong winds, heavy rain and flooding hit most of Spain on Monday. 1 man was killed in a town after a wall collapsed on him. 2 others died after their car was swept away by currents which flooded the A304 road. Pope Benedict expressed his sympathy for support for the millions of flood victims in Pakistan today. The Pope, conducting the weekly general audience at the papal summer residence at Castel Gandolfo outside of Rome, said his prayers were with the numerous victims. He added that those affected were not lacking international solidarity and concrete aid efforts. A millionaire businessman has raffled off his luxury villa in the Austrian Alps worth some 1.4 million euros after deciding that wealth does not bring happiness. Australian Carl Raibeder no longer considers the mountain mansion as his paradise, saying he wants to trade in the rich life for a simpler, more modest abode.
We will be taking an in-depth look at the controversy surrounding the no ball bowled by Suraj Randev later on in the news bulletin with Arundhati Fernando on Sports First. But before that, taking a look at some local stories. UNP parliamentarian Ravi Karunayaka visited the Lunapukun area in Mattakulia this evening to inspect an area conducive for dengue mosquitoes to breed in.
At a time we speak about dengue and the health of the people in the country, it is easy to witness the manner in which the Colombo Municipal Council is creating such conducive environments for mosquitoes to breed in. After the UNP lost the CMC, that money has been utilized for some other purpose. We need to introduce a mechanism to serve the public. There is no point of making noise about dengue. It needs to be implemented. Is there anything else to say when you see such drainage systems?
ඩෙන්ගු ගැන සද්ද කළ වැඩක් නැහැ ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න අවශ්‍යයි. මෙවැනි කාණු පද්ධති දැක්කම තව අහන්න දෙයක් තියෙනවද?
evening and welcome to Sports First. Taking a look at cricket, Sri Lanka cricket took a decision against the controversial no ball bowled by Sri Lankan spinner Suraj Randev during the team's match against India on Monday in the ongoing Tri-Nation series. Accordingly, the official website of Sri Lanka cricket states that Suraj Randev has been suspended from tomorrow's match against New Zealand and his match fee for the Sri Lanka versus India match has been forfeited. In addition, Tilakaratne Dilshan's inference in the issue has resulted in his match fee for the same encounter also being forfeited, while skipper Kumar Sangakkara has been advised to ensure the repetition of such events do not occur.
Suraj Randev's no ball, which cost Indian opener Virendra Sehwag his 13th one-day century, occurred during the third match in the ongoing Tri-Series when India took on Sri Lanka. However, quoting the manager of the Sri Lanka team, Reuters reported yesterday that Sri Lanka cricket had apologized to the Indian team regarding the incident. Meanwhile, speaking at a media briefing held this afternoon, Sri Lankan skipper Kumar Sangakkara stated that the team will face this issue in a united manner.
In our instance, we've regretted it, we've addressed it, we're inquiring into it. And I think there's nothing more that can be expected from us as a team. We are doing the right thing. We've strived to do the right thing at all times. If something like this happens, we continue to strive to do the right thing.
Expressing his thoughts on the incident, former Test player Sanjeev Ranatunga believes that if the player is found to have committed a wrong, not just the relevant player, but the player who may have urged him to take such action should also be penalised.
And I also give some blame for Sri Lanka cricket for putting this game into this situation where it has become too commercialized. Players has gone on to think of their records and stuff like that rather than playing with a good spirit and playing with other sides amicably.
Furthermore, Sanjeev Ranatunga also said that such incidents have been reported with regard to Indian players as well. Meanwhile, the general public also voiced their opinions with regard to the incident.
Randev did not do it on purpose. He is a new player. He should be given a chance. Axing such a cricketer is not good for the future of cricket. These things happen in the game of cricket. Since they are new players, they need to be protected at all times. No balls are a common occurrence among bowlers. Suraj Randev is the next best spinner after Murali.
In more cricket news, discarded from the Sri Lanka one-day side, Dinesh Chandimal proved his worth with the willow by making a blistering double century for the Sri Lanka A-team, which was the highlight of the team's unofficial test against the South Africa A-team today.
Batting in response to South Africa A-team's first innings score of 345 all-out, overnight batsmen of the Sri Lanka A-team Dimuth Karunaratne and Dinesh Chandimal batted steadily on at the SSC grounds in Colombo. Karunaratne defied the South African bowlers by hammering 184 runs before he was dismissed by Quinton Friend. After his dismissal, Dinesh Chandimal went on to make a brilliant 244 runs, inclusive of 20 boundaries and 4 sixes. The Sri Lanka A-team posted 485 for 3 in their first innings before umpires drew stumps.
Moving on, the Sri Lanka team booked their place in the all-important finals of the 2010 Asian Beach Volleyball Tournament. This is incidentally the first time Sri Lanka has qualified for a final of an international beach volleyball tournament. Here's a look.
11 teams are competing in the Asian Beach Volleyball Tournament this year in China. The Sri Lanka team made up of Mahesh Pereira and Vasant Ratnapala, comprehensively defeated Thailand in the semi-finals of the tournament. Although Sri Lanka took the upper hand in the first round with a 21-7 lead, Thailand came back strong to secure the second round 21-15. Undeterred by this, Sri Lanka played with determination to take the decisive third round 18-16 and make it into the finals of the 2010 Asian Beach Volleyball Tournament.
And finally, on Sports First, Graeme Smith has announced he is to stand down as captain of South Africa in both forms of limited overs cricket. He has quit He has quit the 2020 post as of now and will give up the 50 overs job after the 2011 World Cup, but will still play for both teams and lead the Test side. Smith said he believed there were several players capable of succeeding him and would offer advice on who should be his successor, but declined to name any preferred candidate.
Arundhati Fernando with Sports First.
Now, earlier in the year, this movie broke all records in the box office and raked in more than $2.7 billion.
Making a difference. I became a Marine for the hardship. Told myself I can pass any test a man can pass. All I ever wanted was a single thing worth fighting for.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Outstanding. Strong prey on the weak, and nobody does a thing. I guess we better stop him.
They've sent us a message that they can take whatever they want. But we will send them a message that this is our land.
Now James Cameron plans to re-release Avatar next Friday with never-before-seen footage.
Avatar Special Edition is an exclusive for digital 3D and IMAX 3D and will be released in limited theatres worldwide, Krishna.
Produced by 20th Century Fox at a staggering $230 million budget, it became one of the highest-grossing films of all time. Here's a sneak peek at what's in store. Definitely can't wait to watch that one. Well, with that, we wrap up today's news bulletin here on Channel 1 MTV. I'm Krishni Panditaratna.
And I'm Shamir Sudin. To keep yourself up to date with regard to all the stories that we're following right here on News First, log on to www.newsfirst.lk or www.italia.com. For the moment, take care and good night.